So what happens if you do talk to patients? And so this is Andy Robinson's data, actually published back in 2001 now in The Lancet. And what they did was they looked at ulcerative colitis patients and they randomized to an intervention group where they were given an 1.5 to 2 hour sort of educational session about their ulcerative colitis versus a control group where they got regular care. And it turns out that the intervention group treated their own relapses at home earlier than the patients in the control group. And that so the time to treat was significantly shorter in those self-guided group. That was 14.5 hours versus basically over 2 days. The outpatient visits were down in the self-guided group, and the time spent visiting a physician was much less in the self-guided group. So that maybe just even brief education and intervention with patients actually did something in terms of not only their disease, but also with helping your schedule be better and saving money down the road. So what I've shown you is how to measure adherence, and this was all prescription refill data. Well, you can do direct patient inquiry, and we've already said that the NQF is asking that we do that at every visit. And if you ask, well, do you take your medicine? That's not going to get you very far because patients are going to say, well, of course, doctor, yes, I do. But hey, are you tolerating your medicine or having any problems with your medicine? That's when you're going to start to hear some other sorts of answers. You can do pill counts, but that's cumbersome. You can do metabolite levels, and I know the pediatricians do that for azathioprine if they are wondering if their patients are actually taking it, but we don't do that for 5-ASAs. It's cumbersome. It's not clinically available. You can do it via certain scientific labs that will do it for you. But the refill data is how most of us have done the research. But there's electronic monitoring as well. And it's a nice research tool. We're not going to do it in clinical practice, but I do just want to show you some data doing electronic monitoring. So this is a MEMS cap, and the cap is looks pretty bland, and it was actually developed by a collaboration between NASA and the National Security, not the CIA, but the National NSA, yeah. NSA and NASA got together, and there's a microchip embedded in this cap. And when you unscrew the cap from just whatever bottle you put it onto, it sends an electronic signal to a computer somewhere telling the time and the date that the bottle was open. Now, this assumes that the patient's opening it because they're going to take the medicine that's within it. If the patient knows there's a MEMS chip in there, they're going to open it every day, right? But if they don't know there's a MEMS chip, then you get to track how well patients are taking their medication. So I've been dying to do this in IBD, but I crossed over into the esophagus world for a little while. And with my colleagues at Mayo, we bought 100 MEMS caps, and we did a GERD study. So these were patients with endoscopically proven LA class C or D esophagitis. So they came in, they were symptomatic, they were scoped, they had real disease, and they were given a PPI once a day for 8 weeks. And all of them received it from the Mayo pharmacy with this MEMS cap on there. Because this is FDA-approved therapy, we didn't have to tell them that there was any MEMS cap on their therapy. What we did was we told them that they're going to be part of a study to understand their medication and how it works in the real world. And so, again, benign deception. And then this is IRB allowed because we are not giving them an investigational therapy. We are not doing it in any sort of off-label manner. And this is the perfect patient, all right? So what happens is that when you open the cap, it sends a signal and that you can just plot it out. And so this is the perfect patient who, on a daily basis over 8 weeks, opens that cap, or opens the jar, or opens the bottle, and basically the same time. There's a little variance here, but maybe they went out for dinner or were on holiday or whatever. But you can see that basically around the same time every day that this patient opened. All right, so you're ready to see what we found. Okay, this is a patient. Now, these are patients who came to us. They're symptomatic. They had endoscopically proven esophagitis, and this person just opened it, the first day, and then sort of whenever, and then the last day before they came in for the end of the study. And so that they could write in their diary that they had taken their medication the day before, because they were being followed with patient diaries. Okay, so we have no idea what happened to with that patient. This is another patient, okay? And so what happens is that we also get a line drawing of the missed doses, but if you just look at the dot graph there, that they opened they opened the bottle on that first day. They were very motivated. Okay, great, I'm going to take this PPI. And then, boy, this must have been a heck of a week for them where they were doing something bad. Maybe they were on vacation or something, a lot of pepperoni pizza. But that 1 week, they were taking their medication quite a bit. And it turns out they were taking it frequently during the day, even they were only supposed to be taking it once a day. And then it sort of spaced out, and again, boom, of course, on the last day when they were coming back for their exit interview, did you take your medicine today? Oh, yeah. So clearly within a trial, these are symptomatic patients, short amount of time, once a day, this is what people are doing. So to think that we're, yeah, Tim? So it's still only one signal, and then it just shuts off, and then until you put the cap back on and then take it off again, will it fire a signal? Well, but we did pill counts when they brought, because they had to bring back the bottle. Yeah, they could have put it into the toilet. Absolutely. Did you? We asked them not to. So we said, this is the bottle we want you to use, and that we would, maybe some of them did, but that was something that we actually put into the consent form, that I consent to only use this dispenser for my medication. All right, so this is electronic monitoring by MEMS. Here is the next generation of electronic monitoring. So this is a capsule that is hollow, and it's got a little RFID tag on the end of it. And you put the medicine into the capsule, and when it hits the acidity of the stomach, sends a signal. So the patient actually has to take the medicine physically, and then the signal is sent. So you don't have to worry about whether they've opened the cap or whether they put it down the toilet. And toilet water will not send the RFID signal. It has to be a specific environment of the stomach. The problem with trying to use this for IBD is that the capsule is a certain size, and you can't necessarily get the 6 Acecol or the 2 large Lialda pills into here, but this is where electronic monitoring science is going. So really big brother type stuff here. It does, then this is not going to be helpful in your patients with Crohn's who have strictures, because even though these will, this is like doing a video capsule study, that these will disintegrate, but that who knows if you have stricturing where they actually disintegrate. So we're not quite here yet, but I am in discussions with Dow in terms of how we may be able to do this for other GI conditions. So where am I now? So Alan Moritsky is a social scientist at UCLA who has developed and validated the Moritsky Medication Adherence Score, so the MARS. So some of you may have heard of MARS if you read enough clinical trials. So it's an 8-question survey that the patient fills out on their own, and it gets at how often the patient is taking their medicine or not. And based on their score, so you get 1 point for each answer, and that you can have a score from 0 to 8. And if you get a score of 7 or 8, you are considered a high adherer. If you are 6, you are considered a medium adherer, and below 6, you're non-adherent. And he's done this with hypertension and asthma, and validated it in those 2 chronic illnesses. And I said, hey, you know what? Let's look if we can see if we can do this with IBD. So Dr. Moritsky was very gracious, and he agreed to collaborate with me so that I didn't have to pay him anything for the use of his scale.